Hello ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games back again with another Dayz video. Today we've got massive news about content coming to the PC version and what it means for the Xbox version. We've also got an Xbox update today that launched and it should correct and fix a bunch of issues that you guys have experienced over the weekend. Before we get in that though, I just want to have a quick brief overview of my review I posted on Friday. It's doing pretty well, 14,000 views is pretty healthy and the amount of likes and dislikes is pretty good. For the most part, a lot of you guys agree with my, analysis of Dayz. I was pretty critical and I still stand by my critical, really being a bit harsh on it. But I just want to clarify, it's not because I want to say the game is trash. I am enjoying the game massively and I do say that in this video, but I think a lot of you guys maybe switched off halfway through or just weren't listening when I said, despite all the problems and issues, it's a fantastic game and I am loving it. But in reality, I couldn't necessarily recommend it to someone else. As I stated in the video, you have to be a real hardcore survival nut, a real Dayz fan, to maybe get the most out of this game in its current state. And that was based on the amount of content not in game when it launched. It is an early access game and that's the whole point, to add content as they go. But Dayz's a little bit different. The game has been around for 7 years. And although they've done great things in changing the engine around and adding new features and adding new animations, there is still a sense of that maybe they just haven't progressed quick enough. And so the idea that it's a brand new early access game to Xbox does mean there's going to be problems and issues and there is going to be a chance for them to add new stuff. But I do think that at this stage, when they launch it on Xbox, it certainly could have hopefully launched with a lot more features that we're used to seeing on PC. Of course, PC have also been without certain features. That's the whole point of this update. The way they changed the engine around last year and moved things around, it made everything easier to update, but it did take a step backwards for a while in removing systems like diseases, etc, etc. So I want to clarify that because there are quite a few comments in here saying, how can you criticise the game so much? It's an early access game. Of course, I cover mostly early access titles. I've been covering early access titles for nearly 3 years now. And they've all based on coming to console. That's the usual criteria I place on when I'm looking at a game long term. Other than one-off video or couple episodes on something, I generally only really do long plays of games that are coming to Xbox One and the PS4. So I kind of do know what I'm talking about in my eyes when I'm talking about early access games. I've looked at enough with developers following Ark Survival Evolved and being a real voice to that community. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to be a voice in the Dayz community, but I certainly want to help developers make a better game for Xbox and the PS4 when it launches. And so giving constructive criticism is really important, and I feel like I've done that in this video. It might not be what everyone wants to hear, it might confuse some people how I can really criticise the game but still enjoy playing it. But that's just the way it works. If I'm enjoying something and it's starting to fail or it just doesn't have the content I think it should do, I am going to be critical and I'm going to give constructive feedback. So I hope that's cleared up a few things. If anyone is watching this and they did look at the review piece, don't be misunderstood in my analysis of the game. I love the game. I just think for the price of it compared to other early access games that have launched, not to mention the amount of time the game has actively been in development, I think it launched quite light on the Xbox version. Some way to help in that is going to be the content that's coming in the next few weeks. Before we get on that though, let's talk about the Xbox update that happened today. A new update approximately at 5 PM today fixed items disappearing from the containers, your backpack, your jacket, your jeans after logout from the server, fixed the free space calculations in the inventory, fixed game freezing when disconnecting the controller, improved listing of the servers in the server browser, improved the title stability. Don't forget to start your consoles. So this was the big problem on Friday. They wanted to implement this on Friday. They tried to, but something went seriously wrong. It was causing even more problems than it should. So they rolled it back to something before this update. And so a lot of people were again upset that lots of things have changed. But hopefully now it does mean that when you're jumping from servers, you're not going to lose any items. And more importantly, your inventory space will now be correct. So that launched today. You should have had that update already. Go and check it out. I do believe it's only a very small one. Nothing more than a few MB. Now the nitty gritty. There's two things to talk about when we take a look at this status report. The status report comes out every week and it's based mostly on PC obviously in the past, but now they're adding features or bits of information about Xbox. What's exciting is that the end really is in sight for Dayz. If you've watched any of my videos discussing how Dayz has been going over the last 18 months and basically the rise of Dayz, you'll know that they undertook a substantial amount of work. They changed their engine around, updated it to make it more prevalent, make it more modern, and added brand new animations and just core features to improve the game overall. Now when they done this, they took a step back. They reduced some systems that were in the game already for years, and they actually removed them while they experimented and made sure that their brand new engine was running correctly. Now that's quite a simple take on it, but I want to be as simplistic as I can for you guys, because I just don't think you need to go into all sorts of tiny little bits of detail. But generally that's the brief history of what's happened. So when we talk about 0.63, you may have heard about that coming up quite a lot. 0.63 is the beta, and it's the beta for PC. When it's in beta, it's the final stretch. Give or take any more problems happening, the game could come out of early access by the end of this year. That's always been their plan since the start of this year, going to January. That was their plan. And for a while it looked like that maybe wouldn't happen with the problems they've had, because they have had some little delays in the last few weeks. But it looks like they're really gonna iterate quickly. They've always said that from this stage to the full release, they'd be adding lots of core features in, and it'd be quite quickly. And it really again does look like that. So if you're wondering where vehicles are, if you're wondering why diseases don't necessarily work correctly, items are missing, things aren't just running properly, then it's all going to be added in the next 2 or 3 months. So this announcement here is basically telling people that you're going to get a chance to play 0.63. The content update has hit the experimental branch today, and that means we're making it available to community server owners currently hosting with our providers. Please expect slight delays as the GSPs will cope the number of switch requests. I'm happy to see things move along to the experimental phase after most of the critical issues were fixed in the stress tests. So to clarify, and just to give you guys a little bit of extra knowledge about it, they have 3 sets of servers: stress test servers, experimental servers, and then stable servers. Now stable servers are obviously what all the servers currently run on. The experimental phase is meant to be a very stable version of updates that are coming in, but there still may be some issues and there still may be lots of changes before they release it onto the complete stable. The stress test is pretty much they've done something and they just chucked it out there and they want to see how much it works. This is also very good for server problems and issues, and that's what I've had to deal with in the last few weeks, is server problems and issues. All these server problems stop them putting updates through to experimental, and of course if there's no updates going to experimental, they can't stabilize stuff to put it onto the stable servers. But it does look like that's really coming along. So people really are going to get a chance, if they download the experimental server, which I may even have a look at, they'll be able to see what's coming along in terms of diseases, new features, or returning features to Dayz. It's still going to be a while before they hit stable, and it's going to be a while before they hit the Xbox. But it's a fantastic sign that progress is being made. So this update's going to hit, it's going to hopefully come to Xbox soon after, and then after that they'll be focusing on things like vehicles. Vehicles will be returning. So it will be a little while after this next update, but it is scheduled as one of their big things they're going to be working on. As you can see here, the Xbox version of the game will see major game updates getting in soon after they hit the PC experimental branch. While we won't stress test as of now on the Xbox platform, we keep churning out updates with bug fixes, stability fixes to this version as they manifest themselves. Even today, blah blah blah, they published an update. So it really does show you guys it is the same game. There are going to be some differences in putting it onto the console, and they do have to go through Microsoft server testings as well. But we could see the same content, 0.63 content, hitting console in the same sort of time frame. Now what exactly is 0.63? Let's take a look at what it's going to bring us and keep us up to date with. Character unconsciousness. Blunt damage to your head or massive blood loss can render your character unconscious. Other players can provide CPR in order to wake you up faster. So currently not in the game actively or nothing that works. If you've experienced it on the Xbox in the past or anything like that, believe it or not, Xbox has had some sort of test servers going on. If you look at the bottom left hand number when you load up on the server numbers, you'll have noticed sometimes it's 0.630000 and other times it's been 0.63.114 or 144 or something along them lines. That's because they really have been iterating and testing things as it's developed. There are going to be some new weapons. The well-known Mosin Nagant and the M4A1 are returned to Naris with a number of scope attachments. Now again, you may have seen these already in the Xbox version, but you necessarily won't have been able to use them correctly or if you have been able to use them correctly, they don't necessarily work with the sights that are intended. So if you're desperately looking for that Mosin ammo that no one seems to be able to find, it looks like it is going to be implemented properly very soon. Diseases are making a return. Be careful what you eat or drink. We're turning a fresh bunch of diseases and illnesses, including influenza, the common cold, salmonella, brain disease and cholera. They're a bit more tricky and less deadly, but for now keep an eye out on the coughing, sneezing and sudden vomiting. If you don't know, on Xbox right now you can eat raw food, you can drink any water other than the sea, I do believe, and it doesn't affect you. You can eat other human beings. But once you start doing this after this disease has been implemented, it could cause you to get sick and it may even cause death. I'll be going through this separately, showing you guys exactly what to expect when the update launches for Xbox. Experimental exposure. Your character will feel the cold and wetness again. Right now these factors won't affect characters directly, so try to get used to keeping your values intact. Water will soak through your gear, making it heavier and therefore impacting your stamina. Hidden stash. Using a shovel or gardening tools, you can bury backpacks and other containers with loot anywhere in the world for later usage. It's also a handy way to get rid of dead bodies. Now again, this mechanic has been available in Xbox. I have buried zombie bodies. New animals. You can now meet the sheep, goat and wild boar in Chernarus, be it just for wildlife, watching or hunting for food. Soft skills features will now sort all action into either rough or precise actions. Focusing on actions from one category will decrease your time needed to execute those actions, while also gradually lowering your required resources and slowing down the tool degradation. So it's a bit of a minor thing, but basically when you're using tools, the more you do it, the more chance you're not going to be taking damage to your tools. Jump. We're finally reintroducing the jump, and if you're skilled, it will take you to places that were not accessible with the legacy vaulting system. You'll know that if you fall from some sort of great height or you do take a jump, you will take quite a considerable amount of damage. It looks like the animations are correctly placed here and the hit markers are going to be working a lot better too. In addition to the regular radio and the megaphone, they're adding more voice communication. The radio backpack and the public address system, which can be powered with a car battery to let your voice be heard throughout entire villages. Ambient loot. The days of spam picking stones from ground textures are counted. You'll now find stones, sticks and apples spawning dynamically on the ground. We've also added plums, pears and several types of mushrooms, so watch out for all kinds of food that can help you on your journey. Again, I have seen mushrooms in chests area and I'm reliably told they're around damp areas like lakes and rivers. You'll also find stones along dirt trails and sticks too. Compass. With the compass we return the first item for navigation purposes, so you can find your way across Chernarus without losing your direction. Now again, this has been in Xbox because we have had some of the experimental servers appear on Xbox in the last few weeks. So if you're wondering why you can't suddenly find any more compasses, that would be why, because it's been up and down in terms of what updates they've been adding. But it's going to be very stable. Once this 0.63 update hits PC and then when it hits console, these features will be in the game permanently, unless of course they do decide to change something down the road, but these are really the ones that are going to be launching core features. Map and game stability improvements. Our map design has been working numerous fixes for the Chernarus map while narrowing down kicking issues the team has had. So exciting stuff. It may not seem like it because you've seen some of this already on the Xbox version, but trust me when I say that some of that stuff has already been taken out and mucked about with over the last couple of weeks. So it's really good to see it's all coming back quite stable. The rest of the post goes on to detail a few things. They're talking about BattlEye, how it works with cheaters and why people keep getting kicked. Basically there's a problem that they had on their end and it was kicking people undeservedly so. So hopefully they've fixed that now and it shouldn't result in the same sort of thing in the future. There was also a question about performance. Some people reporting that if you jump on servers that aren't in your region, you will actually get better performance. It looks like this is going to be balanced out across the board. The rest of the post goes on to detail things about optics, how they got them to work, and basically they're going to just make people stand still while they're using optics, and that stops lots of problems with the game maybe not understanding what's happening when a player's looking through binoculars or an optic. Surrender and restrain. Surrender is a highly sought after feature that we've been working on to deliver in the highest possible quality. At first glance it would look like it's just another gesture, but under the hood it holds a bunch of complexities. You can You can't access your inventory when you're in surrendering, not something common for gestures. You can also have new stance rules where you can only walk while standing and only turn in standing and crouched. Also, not something gestures can control. Lastly, but not least, it also has a bunch of surrender specific stance changing animations, something that gestures cannot control. With these in mind, we had to approach the surrender mechanic with a bit more caution, as a half-assed approach would probably come back to bite us later down the line. So you can basically make someone surrender properly now. If you're worried they're going to cheat, you're worried they're going to turn their, and try and attack you, by putting them in this state, it makes it harder for them to do so. They won't be able to perform certain actions until they've come out of the surrender state. It does also mean you're going to be able to handcuff people properly as well. They are adding more animations to this though. It's not complete and it's not perfect yet, and they're hoping that in the future, even if you run away from someone, you'll be able to still function a little bit like maybe trying to get water from a lake. Now, a big bone of contention from you guys is telling me to use an outside app, and even the devs are telling you to use one. So maybe I really will look at it to give you guys a bit more of a heads up. What I'm currently doing is visiting some of the big towns and showing you guys some of the best places to go and what type of loot you're going to find in lots of these places. So that is pretty much it for the status report. It really does mean that Dayz is coming along nicely. We're going to start seeing substantial updates, and in the next month we could possibly see vehicles. And that doesn't just mean for PC, that means for console too. It's hard to keep up with the way they respond and they talk about the servers. And I still think the devs have to do a little bit more in actually updating and showing us exactly what each update contains. I really would like to see a thorough patch notes detailing not just fixes but the state of the game currently, so that we know hunting necessarily is in the game properly. And when I say hunting, I mean things like traps, fishing, that sort of stuff. But I'm sure that will come within time. I'm really enjoying Dayz. I can't wait to try out some of these new features and give you guys the heads up. I will be starting looking at these things on PC to give you guys a little bit more of a clue as they launch, and then we'll be reviewing them in the live streams when I play on the Xbox. Of course, if you're watching this and you're a PS4 fan, don't worry, it is coming to the PS4 soon. Honestly, now it's gonna hit beta, the chances are it could come to the PS4 maybe possibly at the very start of next year. So really not that long to go, and much sooner than I think a lot of people imagined. So there you go, that is Dayz in a nutshell currently right now for the weekly update and the stuff that's been going on with the Xbox. I am going to carry on doing Dayz. I will be doing videos probably every sort of 2 days, and I will be trying to live stream on the days that I don't have a video out. I really enjoy the live streams, and if you still want to come and hunt me down, you're more than welcome to. But don't forget, I will betray you. I am Jade Plays Games. For all the latest game updates about early access games on Xbox One and PS4, make sure you got the notification bell on. It's been really dodgy lately, so please click that bell. Let me know that you're getting my notifications by also joining our Discord. We've got loads of channels to talk about all sorts of games, but we also do have a good Dayz channel where people are helping each other out, talking about the game and find people to go and do stuff with. So until next time, I'll see you guys in Chernarus.